This winter storm is intensifying rapidly, bringing a severe weather risk for your Monday that could bring long-track tornadoes to parts of the mid-south and then eventually wintry impacts further northeast. I've got the details on that, a new storm, and the big chill afterwards in this video, so stick around.
One Nation Weather.
Alright, let's start off with your severe risk for your Monday. It has been upgraded to a high or enhanced risk for us here. So basically orange is your level 3 out of 5, and I call it the high risk. And then you can go all the way up to very high and extreme. But do not worry, we have the potential for some very dangerous tornadoes here. Northern Louisiana as well as far southwestern Mississippi getting on the best potential for that, with EF2 tornadoes possible. So let's take a look at the moisture content that's going to be available. That's one thing that you need for some dangerous tornadoes. And we're going to have dew points climbing into the 60s and eastern Texas, pretty much the entire state of Louisiana getting in on mid and upper 60s for dew points. This will go all the way on up to the I-20 corridor and along the I-49 corridor. That boundary continues moving eastward as we make our way in towards our Monday night and into our early Tuesday. And right along that line is where that front will be pushing eastward and sparking those storms. Now, another ingredient that we look for is wind shear. This is basically the changing of direction with height in terms of your wind speeds. Now, right now, it's pretty much just a subtropical jet stream, but you notice as we make our way in towards our Monday evening, we get this curve to where the trough here is almost pointing itself back towards the way it came from. What that's telling you is that we've got a negatively tilted trough. Essentially, all that means is that there's more ingredients available for severe weather than with some sort of weaker jet stream flow just moving on through that region. So that's a check. We've got that there. Then another thing we're looking for, of course, is tornado energy. And look at how this fires on up on your Monday afternoon, especially over parts of northern Louisiana into parts of Shreveport, these areas eastward from you on over and heading on over to the Jackson, Mississippi region as well. These areas getting in on at least some moderate instability and enough to produce some dangerous and long-track tornadoes. So let's time this out with your full severe timeline from the HRRR model. First of all, starting it out around 8 o'clock Central Time on your Monday morning. Notice we've got some convection, some heavier showers and thunderstorms over eastern Oklahoma, as well as western Arkansas. Wouldn't be shocked if we got some, maybe even some flooding out of those. And then around the Arklatex region, we've got a few storms. Some of these might even be severe to start off your Monday here. But it's really going to be as we make our way towards our midday when we begin to see these cells fire up. Dangerous cells getting going, heavy rain, lightning. We're going to see gusty winds and the potential for some embedded tornadoes around Shreveport, heading on over to Monroe, moving along that I-20 corridor as we make our way towards 2 Central Time in the afternoon. Might be having a lunch break, say. You might have the dangers of storms during that time. It's better to bring something to work on for your Monday, or maybe even just stay home if possible here with these dangerous storms moving on through. As we make our way in towards our evening hours, we see this line, pretty much a precursor here out in front of the main line, and that could be where we see a few discrete cells, which is where we could see a few spin-up tornadoes there, all the way on down to the Gulf Coast in Louisiana. Then we've got the cold front, which could bring gusty winds and even some more embedded tornadoes, so you could have multiple tornado warnings in the same areas tomorrow. Look at the way these cells are shaped towards places like Jackson, Louisiana. We've got Baton Rouge, we've got Lafayette, these areas in the evening hours. These cells looking to have that hook echo shape to them, which signifies the tornado risk. Moving on through Jackson, Mississippi into your early evening, just after the sun sets, and then eventually the system continues progressing eastward with heavy rain, lightning, and more of the severe weather risk even into parts of Alabama and the Florida Panhandle as you wake up on your Tuesday. By the way, if you find this content informational and beneficial, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave any comments and concerns you have down below. But what I'm trying to tell you here is do not sleep on the EF2 potential over the Arklatex, southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, western Mississippi, areas surrounding. Even if you're not in the highest risk, I want you prepared. Tornado sheltering guidelines, of course, the worst options to be in are vehicles and mobile homes. So if you are in a mobile home and you have the ability to get somewhere with an interior room and you can find a well-constructed home or building with a basement, that's going to be your best option. If not, though, be ready to duck and cover that kind of thing just in case. Cover your head. That's the most important thing to do if you just have to duck on down in place. Now with your system walkthrough, let's time this out further with the European model. Rain for parts of the Midwest, rain for parts of the Ohio Valley as we go Monday night and towards our Tuesday as the system extends northward. Model's really getting into good agreement, so I don't need to show you both the Euro and the GFS today, just the Euro. You can see Stormline maybe packing some damaging winds through parts of the Carolinas as well as back on down towards the Gulf Coast Tuesday. Overall, the severe risk is decreasing with that as it pushes off the mid-Atlantic coastline there. What begins to increase here is the winter weather impacts of side of this system, with the potential for some ice into parts of Pennsylvania and New York, but mainly some snowfall here, at least starting off the system for many in the interior Northeast especially. Look at how as this system continues moving northeastward, we see some pretty hefty snowfall, maybe some sleet and freezing rain mixing into parts of southern Maine. Most of Maine, though, really getting in on a hefty snowfall event out of this. As the cooler air rushes on in behind this system and the front pushes offshore, we begin to see things really start to clear on out as we make our way towards our Thanksgiving. But that's just a little bit of a break before something else moves in, and again, we'll cover that in just a second. But your expected rainfall through your November 22nd in the morning, so this is through your Wednesday morning. These purplish colors, that's where you're seeing an inch plus of rainfall. Some of these red areas from Alabama through North Georgia, the western Carolinas on up through central Virginia, these areas picking up on maybe 2 to 4 inches of rain in at least scattered fashion for us. So wouldn't be shocked if we get at least some isolated to scattered bouts of flooding through there. Even on up into the Midwest and the Great Lakes, though, some areas picking up half an inch to an inch and a half of rainfall. Now with your winter storm impacts through your November 22nd, this is what the Weather Prediction Center is indicating. These red areas there in south central PA, that's where we'll have the ice potential, and that area is being highlighted in the red for major impacts from winter storm conditions there. But notice how the winter storm impacts continue extending on up further northeast. Of course, not as severe though, since it's mainly falling as snow and then just switching on over to rain pretty quickly there. Your snowfall totals, now remember, this is as if the rain's not going to come back behind the snowfall. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that a lot of this may end up melting pretty quickly after it falls, but nonetheless the Adirondacks, parts of Vermont, parts of New Hampshire, as well as into Maine getting in at least getting in on at least maybe 4, 5, 6 inches of snowfall. Some spots there into New Hampshire and Maine locally up to a foot if you look at this European model scenario. Northern parts of the Great Lakes as well, maybe getting in on a few inches of snowfall. The Mountain West also getting some hefty totals right now as I speak. Now with your system number 2, this is what's going to be developing here. With the subtropical jet stream being as active as it is with El Nino, right on the tail end of this cold front, we'll have the ability for something new to spark there over the south central, and we'll also have some energy moving out of the mountain west. Now let's see how these two systems could really, kind of fight against each other, or at least be near each other as we make our way towards, say, our Friday, November 24th. Rainfall and storms going over the panhandle of Florida, parts of Mississippi and Alabama as it looks right now. Some snowfall back on over to the Rockies, Wyoming, western parts of South Dakota, on back on over into Idaho, as well as Nevada and Utah. So these areas getting in on some light to moderate snowfall. Really just a nice little shield of that for everyone. That looks to be weaker than it's been initially showing here, so not necessarily a full-on winter storm out of that, but what could become a winter storm is what's riding on the East Coast as we make our way Friday night into our Saturday, November 25th, moving out of the Carolinas on Saturday, making its way towards the mid-Atlantic. The GFS and the Euro starting to agree on the way this system could look. Could this be our first real nor'easter here over parts of the northeastern United States? Sure could. Parts of PA, parts of New York, as well as all the way on up into parts of Maine, getting in on a heaping helping of snowfall with the scenario, at least in the interior parts of those states. The I-95 corridor, though, could stay on the rainier side, or with a mix, which could make for messy travel home there from Thanksgiving plans. So keep an eye on that, but that's something a little further out, so we're going to monitor that, but things are not set in stone with that system like we are seeing right now with this current winter storm. Now your temperature outlook for November 25th through November 29th looks at like this. We've got pretty much the entire country getting in on Arctic air mass as we head towards that time frame, especially the central U.S., as temperatures anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees below average look to be lasting for a little while there just after Thanksgiving over that region. Of course, the only place looking to be a little warmer than average is Florida at this point, as cooler air is at least limited there in other areas of the United States, but definitely still below average. And then with your precipitation outlook, this looks very El Nino-like to me, with the southern corridor as well as right along the immediate east coast during that time frame again, and that kind of hints with that system being a little bit above average to even moderately above average in the precip department, well below average into parts of the northwestern United States as well as the Great Lakes with this system, or at that time frame, I should say, with the Climate Prediction Center outlook. So that's what we're watching right there with that precipitation outlook at this point. So pretty much the summary being, we've got winter storm, tornado potential as we make our way into our Monday, wintry impacts moving eastward, and then a potential another winter storm after that. Now, as I mentioned earlier, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to me when you do that, and when you leave a comment down below sharing positivity, asking questions, all that. It's great to see you guys just commenting and sharing your feedback and information on my channel. And here are the credits, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great Monday. And of course, I'll try to keep you updated throughout your Monday with some severe weather updates and maybe even a live stream in the evening. So stay tuned for all that.
One nation weather.